February 14th, 2024, at the Bell Building. And I don't think we have any citizen comments, but I will ask for citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission on agenda items or other items they may wish to bring to the attention of the commission or staff. Comments may be made in person, by emailing publicworks@cityoflewiston.org or by calling 208-746-1316 extension 6 and leaving a message. Comments submitted by email or phone will be forwarded to the Public Works Advisory Commission. If you would like your comments to be read out loud during the meeting, please so indicate in your message. So now we all know how to do that. So going forward, no citizen comments. We move on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless a member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and and considered under section 6 items moved from the consent agenda. Do we have any items you'd like to have removed?
I was just gonna ask the committee if anybody wanted to pull the bridge letter to discuss, or is everybody good with that?
I've got a couple questions, but.
And I think we should pull it.
Okay, so we're going to move item B. Okay. Do we have anything else that you'd like to move? So is there an approval of the consent agenda with the removal of item B?
Approve the consent agenda, exception of item B.
I wasn't here on the 10th, so.
I'll second it.
You second?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you. Director's report. Accomplishments and activities completed April 23 to December 23. An overview of the accomplishments and activities completed by the Public Works Advisory Commission in calendar year 2023. I think it's up to you.
Well, so included in your packet, I didn't see this until the packet. I don't know. Anyway, this is a document that kind of outlines all of our meetings up to date, and kind of the progress that we made. And it kind of jogged my memory of the things that we've discussed over, and it hasn't even been a full year. April will be a full year, so we still have 2 more meetings to complete the 12-month cycle. I don't really have much, stuff I want to talk about is related to this, of looking back at what we've accomplished and looking forward what we want to accomplish. So I don't necessarily need to stay on this one. We can move on to the next agenda item and then kind of reference this list on what we've learned from the last year and how we can move forward.
Okay.
So, unless anybody has any comments on.
Does anybody have any comments on this, contrary to what the director is proposing? I think we move on. To item 5, discussion items. Purpose and future planning continued. A combination of the discussion first introduced on January 10th of 2024 agenda. Closing out the first calendar year of the Public Works Advisory Commission, Director Johnson would like to reevaluate the purpose of the commission and revise the bylaws, if needed, in order to best plan for the future agendas.
Okay.
So that would be you again.
That would be me again. I guess coming out of the gate, you guys have been the guinea pigs trying out this advisory board. I have gotten some feedback from individual board members. I've watched the meeting that I missed last month. I think overall the efforts that we put forward have been good. I will take responsibility in that I don't think they've been focused enough, and so I've talked with a few of you that said, yeah, I think we need to have maybe a little bit more refined. Somebody said, crack the whip a little bit more, keep us focused on the tasks at hand. And so I'll just go all the way back from the beginning. I think early on, I was naive in that I thought I could keep this board. I wanted to come here monthly and say, here's all the projects we got out to bid, here's the progress on all of these things, and I'm really excited for your feedback on this, and we're gonna move forward on this. Unfortunately, we meet once a month, and the pace of which the projects go out and are developed, a lot of times, I won't see you before something happens. And then, of course, when we started this board, it was in the middle of the reservoir thing, so I was like, oh, this is great. I can use you as a sounding board, which I did a little bit, but again, that project was so fast-paced, it was like just generally, and so I think I just need to come to terms that there's gonna be something in the paper that you're gonna read about, and you're gonna say, wow, I'm on the Public Works Council, and I didn't even know about this, because it's just the nature of what we do. It's too vast, it's too much going on for me to keep you in the loop on everything. So I think that is something I'm gonna try and peel back on. I will, I think it's reasonable for me to have a spot on the agenda to say, hey, FYI, these are the projects going out, give you access to, some, whatever, planning documents that we have, as far as projects that are active, and so you can, as I feel like this group is critical as you're kind of, our resource to the public of, hey, I had some people asking me since I'm on this board, what's up with this? So I can provide updates to that. I don't think there's time, and I don't think it's worth everybody's time for me to update you on everything. And so I think moving forward, I would like to be able to provide you updates as, something, say, the traffic calming. Okay, you guys, we've buttoned it up. It's gonna be on council next month. If you wanna provide any comment or, here's when it's gonna be. But there's nothing more to discuss on that. Here's an update, or here's an update on a project that we discussed in the past. It's now done, or it's out for construction, whatever. Just simple updates that there's not much feedback on, but something that you guys have played a role on. The second part is higher level, like traffic calming. We visited that at least 2 or 3 times here. Budget is one that's gonna be ramping up here in the next couple months that I would, start. This is gonna be between talking with staff and the managers, this is the next group I'm gonna be talking to of here's the concepts, here's the struggle I'm gonna be having, getting feedback, and using you guys as a kind of a sounding board. So high level, something that's not gonna be done in a month or two, something that's more of a 4-month process or something that introduces you to a concept, give you an opportunity to ask questions, give the group an opportunity to have a discussion. We make amendments, changes, adopt it, or you guys make a decision, point us in a direction, and then we move forward, whether it's gotta be adopted by council or, implemented with staff or whatever else. So that's, I think, the direction that, more refined on that. The one thing I didn't want, which I'm struggling with how, is to say, don't ask me any questions. Don't provide any more feedback. I'll let you know what I want help on. And I don't wanna say that, but I also wanna say, there's some stuff that I just don't know that we're gonna have the capacity to address. I'm trying to think of a random thing that's just not on our radar. I'm not gonna make it up, but stuff that, that you may be inquisitive about, I can get you the answer, but I'm gonna say, hey, we got stormwater that's gotta get adopted in the next month. It's a thing that we're really spending a lot of time. I mean, the utility came out this month or last month, and so that's kind of where we're burning a lot of staff time. And so, to fairness to the staff and fairness to you, I don't wanna have this where throw something on the wall and we'll just follow it and see where it goes. I think that's we've tried that, and a couple of these topics probably have shown that, wasn't very successful. I don't think this board felt fulfilled by, you asked some questions, we gave you some kind of answers, and then it left hanging and nothing was ever really implemented. There was you maybe learned something, but nothing really changed as far as how the city was gonna do something. And so, be a little bit more direct on some feedback. And so, it was included in your packet of the future agenda items, mostly future meetings. And I'm going through the list of future meetings. A lot of these things are fine, like winter storm event response policy. That is one that I think is on our list. It's probably a B or a C priority. It's not an A priority. It was in the packet, right? Oh, it was not, never mind, don't look for it.
I'm looking.
See, I'm guiding you in the wrong direction.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, there's a few things on here, traffic calming policy, which we're almost done, winter storm maintenance, which, kind of a lower priority for us right now. Not to say that we shouldn't, it's, as we discovered in this meeting here, the maps and the resources are from the 90s, I think, or maybe even earlier, so can be updated. But we have some technology, we're implementing it into our GIS system, so we're not quite there yet, so it's not quite a priority. Stormwater is gonna continue to come in here, and then a lot of these things are just updates. East Orchard Sewer is a project that I think we could give you an update. Our relationship with Lloyd, I think, would be a pretty quick, easy one, and I've reached out to Barney, and Barney, the manager of Lloyd, would be more than happy to come and talk to this board and talk about how Lloyd functions and how the city functions and how we function cooperatively. And then I think what's not on this list that came up at the last council work session is the implementing the 5-year work plan. And so from our interpretation of a CIP or I got it written in my whiteboard in my office. Actually, Councilor Forsman was in and I wrote it all down. And so it's all concepts to projects to CIPs to the 5-year work plan to budget. And so I feel like what we're missing right now is a 5-year being able to identify how all of the funds that we operate within the right of way are gonna interact moving forward. And I think we're on the cusp of being able to pull up a map on our GIS software and show you exactly where the assets are deficient and kind of how we can prioritize our efforts. And so I know there was discussion of a full citywide CIP, and I don't control city, but I think there's some value in that, and that's always been the once you start showing what you can do with some of our asset management and GIS software, other departments start taking notice and want to say, hey, it all rolls forward into better organizing and being more transparent in the budget process. So that is a big one that I'd like to include. So I think I'm about done talking, but generally, I would like to kind of work up a fairly defined future meetings list and prioritize those and kind of lay them out so staff can be prepared. So for, say, the April meeting, these are the 2 or 3 topics that I think we should cover. We'll get you the information out so you're ready to, you're not reading it at the meeting. You can just, you can say, I've got some questions on this, and we can kind of throw questions to you saying, this is the feedback we need. So a lot of good stuff moving forward, but trying to be respectful of everybody's time, staff included, and your volunteer time of how we can best be efficient of that use.
Personally, I don't think anything that we have learned has not been of value. I mean, it helps layer everything, it helps give us a background for it. And so I don't feel your time was wasted anytime you were giving us just information. So I personally appreciate it, and I think the group does as well. And I think, but I want to, like you do, we're saying to laser in on things and be more productive with the staff's time especially. Yes.
Through the chair. So last year, we were just kind of behind the 8 ball. And I don't think it was any fault of anybody. It was just when you come in the middle of a budget cycle and there's, an emergency going on, it's just hard to kind of get caught up at that point. I feel at this point, though, we're kind of there, we're sort of caught up. We should kind of revisit, so you had mentioned, the utility kicked off and there was a lot of articles and things of that nature. Sometimes just a note in the meeting, just to saying, I'm just gonna give you, kicked off all of your work, such and such. These are some of the issues we have been facing, but staff is handling it, the main question was this, and we've handled it this way, but the response and everything that, the committee did, because, I know everybody worked really kind of hard on that one, working with you. And so it's just kind of nice to have that loop so that we kind of understand too what you're facing on that side, when something that big, and it is a big deal, people might not realize it, but it really is a big deal, not just on the citizen side, but it's a lot for staff when something kicks in like that. And so just kind of having us so that we feel like, you know, all that work that we did, it just kind of helps close that loop for us, that we know, okay, we did great, you know, it was a good job, team well done. Staff's really working hard on this, and any lessons learned, saying, you know, next time around, maybe we'll, you know, from what we're learning at this experience, next time around, we might try this tactic when another big policy item like that comes up. Because I, having been in your shoes, I know sometimes when those things come through, it is brutal. You're fielding questions, you're trying to do that, and you're trying to do it as well as you can and keep everybody informed, but sometimes it's just like the spiral thing till everybody gets comfortable.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because I think anybody who's been in any busy situation, you're in this, you're looking down, and you know, this week has been a personnel nightmare, and so that's not for this board to discuss,
Right,
but that's what I'm focused on, and then I come and meet with you, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is a very important topic. I haven't thought about it for about a week, but yeah, I think that's something we need to discuss. So yeah, I think that is something, I will try and keep that, you know, just tracking it as we're putting the agenda together of like, oh yeah.
Just, you know, it just helps that closure
Yep,
process
yep.
for us to learn as well what you're facing on that side, because I kind of know, you know, you're kind of being really, you're downplaying it a little bit, but I know you guys are hustling really hard on that. And then, you know, things like the traffic calming policy, which I think we did a good job. I know we still have to work on the school zones and things of that nature. I think that's, and even though you said it's not a priority right now, I think if we had a little bit more weather going on, I think we would, you know, we would probably be discussing the thank you, the winter, you know, how that one works, because I think everybody had some very good comments and concerns on it, so, you know, bringing those back again, that just, I think we don't want to lose those items. I think we just kind of want to have a tickler there so that, you know, next year
And that one I
before-
think is, specific to that one is the maps and everything that was put together 20, 30 years ago, and so just being done with that, I mean, we can recreate that map in 2 seconds
Correct.
with our current GIS, and then we can modify it on the fly, where that one is a standalone PDF, and it's you gotta get the crayons out. So that one is just, when we have, you know, it'll be much faster.
And so, you know, just, I guess, so for future items, just trying to close some of those loops is all I'm just trying to say, is just kind of come back and say, you know, we're there, we signed it, we really, it's been very successful, or, you know, next time we'll do this or something. And then I really appreciated the meeting, and I'm glad we're looking towards starting a CIP for Public Works anyway. I know we didn't do the citywide, although, as I told you when we were sitting there, the cemetery one is a perfect example of why you have a CIP. So everybody was asking at that point, where was the money? I think we have that much, and all those projects and stuff. That was a perfect example of why you have a CIP, because they had the money, they asked where the money was, it went back to reserves. Did you really want it to go to the reserves, or did you want it to stay there in an interest-bearing account and continue for the work that it was doing? So that, I was like, oh, that's exactly why you have a citywide CIP right there. So you can look at the document and you know where the money is. So anyway, I was just wanted to comment on that, because it sounds like that's gonna be something maybe this next year, as you might update us. I know you were gonna have a staff meeting, so I don't know where everything is with that. And of course, starting budget early, you know, just getting, because we were just so behind the 8 ball. So I know that budget's gonna be a huge deal with CIP, some of the council directions of that, and kind of where it's going. So I know from my standpoint, kind of one of my number one things on the future agenda is gonna be, is budget,
Yep.
all right?
Yep, and I wanna make sure, you know, we may even have something in the March meeting, for this group, just because it's not fair for you, for me, because I'm not thinking about budget till, say, April this year, and then April comes and I'm like, all right, I'm done, and here you guys go, what do you think? And so, and that's part of, the challenge to me, not necessarily, it's not gonna take extra time for me, I just have to forecast out, okay, I'm gonna wanna bring this to this group a month or 2 months before it goes to council. It may not be refined at all, but that's what this group is for, is to help me refine everything from the technical aspect to the, how am I communicating this out to the public? Because I think, and I said it at the work session, is I feel like, you know, since I've been here, I think I'm 2 years in, 3 years in, whatever it's been, I've struggled with communication, and not me personally, but if it's a newspaper, if it's a TV, if it's our own internal social media, and there's nothing simple about a budget or a public works project, and so how, is it a pie chart, is it a video, what is it that I can clearly convey to the public of what we're doing? Because, you know, we tend to get accused of secret backroom meetings and all these shady dealings, and my life is boring. I sit and I look at charts and I look at graphs, and there's nothing in there that's exciting. But to try and take that and show them, we are trying to make the streets better, we're trying to maintain the water and the sewer system, and so here it all is. But when I give it to them and it's, you know, a giant paper stack this tall, it doesn't do anybody any good.
And I think that's why I mentioned in the last meeting, a CIP. The majority of your stuff, I mean, you have your operating budget and a CIP. That's basically your world, are those two ones. Your operating budgets for every division that you've got, and then your CIP. The CIP, once it's refined and you have those explanations, your life will be a lot smoother, because you'll have all those explanations, you know, in there. Right now, you don't have the explanation, so I can see where people are saying, so where did you, you know, exactly what you're saying, where are those funds, so.
I think one thing I might do, as we're talking about this, the city has always done a guide to the city budget. It comes out of finance. And so, in the past, working with finance, well, I don't understand, this is my budget, I don't quite understand how you're communicating it. You know, and that's just, an engineer's gonna look at a project in a budget a lot different from a person in finance is. But I could probably reach out to Amy Gordon, who could come over here, and it may not technically be what a CIP is, but that's exactly what we're trying to refine right now is, you know, the guide to the budget. We may call it a CIP, they may call it something else, but that's essentially what we're trying to do, is be able to, you know, the guide to the budget has always been, you know, here's the glossy letter from the mayor, or the opening, you know, statement from the mayor, and here's some projects that we're looking to take care of this year, but then the appendix is basically the CIP of where those funds are being allocated from. It doesn't read great.
No.
And then there's a second one that is just straight, you know, a matrix of all the numbers. So to try and bridge that gap from, like you say, digestible information from a lot of numbers. And I think the city as a whole right now, as we're trying to make that process better, and we're all ears on how to better communicate that.
I was just gonna suggest off what they were saying, like, off of like that list that you have, if we refine it to like the few things that we think are most important, then the things that are left maybe in your director's report, or like something, give us every week, or like every meeting, say like, if there's things that are happening throughout the week, like note it, like, okay, I'll make sure to mention that to them, like.
Yeah, and I think I can go back, you know, we'll have what we've talked about, we've had what we're going to talk about, and I can go back and say, I haven't given an update on stormwater for 2 months, it'd probably be a good time to give them the update, which I already took a note when it's my turn to talk.
I am dying of curiosity, just saying. Yes.
It does seem like we're getting stuck in the weeds a little bit again. You know, as far as back to kind of the purpose of the meetings and stuff, I mean, there's a pretty good definition on the city webpage of what our advisory commission is supposed to do. And I don't know if we can incorporate that into the bylaws as kind of the agenda item, but the reality is, like, if the way I see it, at least we should be kind of forward-looking, and if there's projects coming up or different big milestones that you need help with, I mean, that's something we could guide on. But certainly nothing, you know, with the time that we have every month and the commitment, I mean, it's not like we're gonna be able to really get down in the weeds
Yeah.
and individually
Yep.
contribute to stuff, so.
Yeah, and that was kind of the aha moment for me was there's some policies that we're gonna be, they're like, case in point is development, so private land development that goes on within the city where, the code hasn't been amended for years. Some of this is pretty technical as far as land use planning and zoning and all that stuff, which I don't think we need to, but it's like, what trips the point in which we should require sidewalk improvements and ADA improvements? Some of this is federal, some of this is just our own guidelines. I would like to hone in on that and talk to this group. Ultimately, it's go in front of the council, but I don't wanna get into the weeds of, now, if it's an R2, that's different from an R3, but what can we really talk about and hash out for some specific guidance on development standards? Because there is no right answer. It's, if you require everybody to put sidewalk in with anything, that's a it restricts growth. If you say, don't worry about it, we're never gonna get any sidewalk in there. So we gotta find some balancing point in there. And I think this is a good group to kind of weigh in, from, there's a wide array of opinions in here and technical background. So something like that would be, instead of throwing the whole apple at you, let's just talk about this specific piece.
Would that be something then that we would incorporate with, say Joel or Katie?
That one will probably pick up this summer, as the council picks up budget, we'll probably follow up with some of our, development standards. And we may want some feedback from Joel, but it would almost be more beneficial to not just specifically to, here's how the practices have been, here's some other similar cities, then this is what they do. What do you think fits Lewiston? And some of it might be different for different regions within the city. Cause right now we're revising, we're working on code amendments, and it's, Public Works and legal and Joel and community development. And I'll tell you, it doesn't take long, 2 hours and we're in the weeds. I mean, we're in the weeds in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And
2 minutes.
We've been doing code amendments for the last 7 years.
That's right, you're still on planning, so,
Yeah.
yes, good for
Yeah.
you.
So I have a question on a couple of those things, but you talked about the 5-year work plan. Are we focused on things that are already budgeted and have the financing for?
So my vision of the 5-year work plan is, so a 5-year work plan would be year one is, yes, what's budgeted, what is going to be constructed, or budgeted to be constructed next year.
Sure.
2, 3, 4, 5 years out is kind of more of a forecast. And the intent is to look at, because we have different revenue sources, so each, if it's a water line, sewer, and it might be a joint project, so this, Main Street is a great example, that corridor, in 2026, we're gonna draw this much money out of water, this much money out of sewer, this much money out of street transportation, and if we're bonding or a grant, that's where that's coming from. But if that gets bumped, it's more of a forecast.
Right, okay.
So it's not binding, but
Right.
it allows any person from the public to say, oh, they are looking at building Main Street in the next 5 years, and a counselor to say, I'm not comfortable taking that fund down to that level, or, I'd rather spend that money on this. I don't wanna build Main Street, I wanna build this one instead, and then you can start moving the pieces around.
Which happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and if you're not tracking it, it gets really messy really quick, and that's why you see, it never happens in Lewiston, but where, somebody comes in and repaves the street, and then the next year they come in and do the water line, and then they repave that, and then they come and cut it and do the sewer, and, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
So, and then about sidewalks, I mean, so when projects do payment in lieu of, does that money get allocated to a specific account so the city can do that, or is it put into the general fund?
No,
or-
it goes, so the payment in lieu, money goes to, it's broken out, the code says it has to be geographically close to that location. There's
Right.
it's not really.
No, I understand not specifically for that part, but is there like a specific funding source for sidewalks in general?
Yes, so that goes into a public works account, and it adds up as we get more PILT money. payment in lieu, you know, yeah.
I forget what the T is too.
Yeah. So then we usually use that for grant match, so then we can stretch that dollar even more.
Right.
Or just infill, you know, that, you know,
But in a CIP, so all of a sudden, if you have a project that potentially, you know, so you may not have funds on everything, but you have some high priority ones that the council has identified, so right now it may not. So then it's the grid of funds, so to speak. You can look at that and say, okay, in year 3, you can make a notation that you're gonna pull 10,000 from project in lieu, you know, whatever it is, because that project needs sidewalk work or something like that. And so that's what's helpful for the community to understand and where that money is, because then in the beginning part, there's a little narrative. Now, I just learned what it was, because I didn't know that was a fund. That's the types of narrative in the beginning that then it looks more transparent. And then you can identify that later on, you know, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's right, we have in lieu, we've got this project over here. Oh, yeah, because sometimes, and I, you know, I remember sitting there sometimes, you forget some of those funds. And all of a sudden, it's like nice to have that reminder, you know, with all of that saying, you know, can we pull 5,000 from that? And you're like, yeah, let me talk to the finance director, you know, and then that's how you can get a project funded.
Yeah. And then, the other one, and I'm not sure if I thought I did communicate it, about the letter to the WashDOT. And this,
Are we gonna do that now, or?
well, no, I mean, this
Okay.
is relevant for, but as far as, projects, working with the MPO or anything like that.
yeah, that, I actually, so the contact person that I recommended for that is on the MPO. He's on the technical, the
Okay.
TAC. And
Okay.
so you know, back in my day I guess I was on the TAC. I have connections with WashDOT, and so his name's Paul Gonseth. He's out of the.
No, I wasn't talking about that person, I was talking about like our MPO.
Oh,
That, you know, like, so projects like, you know, I know that it was spoken about the Bryden Canyon, Bryden, corridor, stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we, I mean, the hangup with the MPO is it's only a planning organization, and so typically they divvy up the construction funds, the STP funds, but they don't, the MPO does not fund itself the construction. And so, we have all the parties in the room, ITD and all the counties and all the cities, and so we end up having these sidebar conversations, or even, you know, in the middle of it. Right now, the MPO is paying for the Thane corridor study and a regional safety plan, and so it comes before them, and then it's a planning, but it makes you eligible for grants for construction, and so organically, we start having those conversations at the MPO.
Okay.
But something like the bridge thing, which is more of a maintenance thing,
Yeah,
might not.
there's that distinction, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, I just wanted to follow up on your comment with regards to, you mentioned, and it ties into what Commissioner Rader had said, which is sometimes those bigger projects come up, you know, going down the road. We don't have time here, but I think that's when we have a special meeting and just focus, like maybe a workshop or something, if it's something really big, we have a separate meeting and a special meeting, like a little workshop or something, just to walk through the particulars of something so that we understand it, to then comment at the next meeting or provide the comment at that meeting so that, you know, it gets the focus that it needs to. So I think that might be how we can address maybe some of those items, you know, because you're right, something's gonna come through, we won't have time. So, I don't know if that's, I mean, I know we did a couple special meetings, but it felt like they were just an extended meeting, but I can totally see in the future, we're gonna have some special meetings to deal with some of the technical ones.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward into, when I give an update, budget may be one where, I don't have all the information when we meet on a regular time. we're getting into a time crunch. If this group wants to have any feedback, we're gonna need to have a special meeting so I can get you the information before it goes to the council.
So did we give you we still have to give you information of what we want for future meetings?
You can.
I mean, that was the topic item, right?
At one time. Staff was just a little overwhelmed at that time for anything more, so.
Proposed future planning items.
Oh,
I
future.
gave mine,
Okay.
I wanna see how the CIP and then the budget, of course, is always a.
You're referring to,
Passion of
future
mine.
agenda items.
Yeah, that's what that's what our project, that's what it
Yeah, it's.
started.
At the end.
It's kind of like the city council. The city council, when they all kind of came in, they were really anxious to get a lot of topics on, and then realized it really stretches them and staff out, kind of like this group.
Yeah.
And I don't think council's asked for many agenda items in a while, just because everybody's plate's a little full right now. I mean, but it's not a, you know, if it's the city council or it's this board, I don't want to feel like we're not, staff is here to serve you, and if there is something that you really need to know, that's what we're here for. But if everybody's gonna have 2 or 3 topics every meeting, we're gonna lose focus.
But the way it's usually done in council is that you have to have so many nods from everybody.
Right, a vote, yeah,
Right,
majority vote.
so before you can just put something on the
Oh,
agenda.
yeah.
So,
You can present it, but it has to get approved with
but
majority vote.
ask for the approval, yes.
But with that too, with staff, I mean, I know for me, I know staff is already working on so much, so that's why I don't really have agenda items for, because they're already telling me what they're working on and they're gonna be bringing. So I'm like, oh, this makes sense, we'll wait till we see that before we overload. And that could be something too, that you say, hey, I have these things that we're already working on and I wanna put them on the agenda. That seems like a feasible thing to do for this committee. I said, let's just check this out and work on that, and then we can add future as it goes on.
Yep, yeah. If somebody said, yeah, I'd really like to dive into the wastewater treatment, or the wastewater master plan, well, it's the plan that we're gonna update next. It's outdated, and it's not really high on my priority, so I'd say, okay, but.
I mean, things like, I know that last year there was a big upgrade to the water plant. I know that they were still trying to get everything online with the water and everything, so I'm assuming everything went well, we don't know about that. I know that you've just bid out you're bidding out right now the contract and how that will affect and, potential. I know you're trying to time that right now because of budget purposes and see what comes in from the RFP process, so that could adjust things, and sometimes when you go with a different contractor, that can really have an impact on staff and things of that nature. Because sometimes you have a contractor that's been in there for a while, another contractor comes in, that can really disrupt things for a while and get things off track or something, or they have, for whatever purposes. So I know that some of those items we haven't kind of just been small updates, but they're kind of, the water plant, of course, is such a huge deal, especially after the water reservoir item last year, so those are just a couple small items I was thinking of. And then it's always nice every year to kind of maybe understand what the plan is for streets and bidding of streets, because last year we saw kind of, I don't think we kind of knew, but we kind of got kind of last minute that they were gonna do that big stretch on, I forget the technology, but you said there was like
the fiber seal on 21st.
Fibers, thank you. We kind of got that, but it was like, is it gonna go more or not go more, how have the comments been on that since, have you driven it, do you like it, I thought part of it was pretty good, and, curious if it's gonna continue or what the response was, because you said it was a new technology that you were trying to kind of bridge that. So a streets plan is always, just because it's
Oh, yeah.
out of streets, so it's nice to get just kind of a streets outline and update of, I saw the plan last year with the slurries and all that bit, and I know that plan kind of gets developed once the budget's done.
Yeah, we are finishing it up right now, actually. At least the taking what we have in the budget and what our highest demands are, matching it, and then kind of grouping them in neighborhoods, so they're not running all over town. But yeah, those are gonna be, going out to bid here in the next month or so. And those are just the regular slurry seals, chip seals, just pavement maintenance, nothing
Yeah,
special.
like you said, we're kind of the liaison, so when people ask us, it can be kind of like, cause you know, when they kind of, they haven't done that street, for crying out loud, you know, what the heck? You can go, oh, hold on, you know, on the website over here, they just posted and published, you know, so, you know, check and see if your street's on there or something, you know, it kind of helps us. If we're kind of in the know, we can kind of then guide people nicely to get them to walk
Yeah.
off the ledge there, you know, back off the ledge.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to you, Director, and I'm going to make sure that we have helped you to reevaluate the purpose, and that's what we were supposed to do here, of the commission and revise the bylaws if necessary.
Did we get there? I thought we were still on planning and future.
Future and planning, that's what that one is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought that was separate. I thought that was B, okay.
Am I correct? Isn't
Yeah,
that
it's
what?
just on two different pages, but
I know,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
on two
yeah,
different
same-
pages.
Same one,
And we
yeah.
kind of
Yep.
have gone,
I'm good, yeah. The only thing I would add is I think what I will probably do moving forward is have a future meetings list out.
that would be,
So you can kind of see, you know, I will, you know, put it out, say 6, maybe 9 months.
Good.
So you can kind of see where we're looking to slot it. Cause I know as we can probably really only add one topic per month. Maybe 2, if they're small, but just knowing that if we're gonna introduce new topics, you're gonna introduce it, you're gonna discuss it, then we're gonna come back and revisit it again at least once. And so if we just keep adding a bunch of topics, I wanna be very conservative coming out of the gate, because between stormwater and the budget and a couple other special projects I have planned out, that those 4 topics are gonna be a lot. So,
there will be.
So just to clarify, you already have topics that you want us to tackle.
yeah, well, these are the topics that have either already been discussed, like traffic calming, winter maintenance. Yes, so these are the topics that this board has already brought up in the past that we just haven't talked to or haven't scheduled it out yet.
Okay.
And then like stormwater, I haven't had an opportunity to bring it back to you guys because we were waiting for it to roll out, so now I have some follow-up procedures. So yeah, I have a few more to add on what was already on the list.
So can we get, sorry,
No, go ahead.
can we get, like, when we get for our council, we get like a future, I'm looking at her, cause I know she sends out that kind of stuff. Like a future, agenda items and then the
Yep.
date that'll present.
Yep.
It'll
That's-
be
we'll
something like
send-
that, sorry if I
yep.
missed that, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So then revising any bylaws in regards to this.
I don't know, because we talked about the mission statement kind of thing, but I don't know that we need to revise any bylaws at this point.
From what I've been hearing, I don't think so either.
I think you need me to be a little bit more organized.
I think you've been very organized. I don't know how you get everything done.
Me too,
I
if
was
you
gonna
wanted to
say-
change to a different week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
a different
yes,
week.
yeah, I was expecting that one to be
And I
the
didn't know if you
OB.
wanted
Yes,
to
you're
make
moving
it
to be, yes.
quarterly,
It's up to the group.
because that's in here to talk to. So anyway, I just wanted to know, before we leave this, that you have accomplished what this one wanted, because it was an action item.
Yep, for AI, I'm good, but if you
Okay.
wanna change the date, yes, you'll need to change the bylaws
Okay,
for top
Okay.
item.
So we also, yeah.
That's what I was.
yeah, it's there, but this was in this one as an action item, so I wanted to make sure we covered it for it.
I make one comment on.
Of course you
I
can,
make
yes.
Prior to, okay. So I think, so we provided some comments, I think the commissioners, and I don't know if this is the agenda item, we provided some comments on what our purpose should be. Looking through the three recommendations for purpose, it was pretty clear that the common one was public interface, liaison with the public. I kind of highlighted from the 3 comments there that that's one thing they all had in common. So certainly that seems to be the pulse of this group of what one of our purposes should be. So however we can help with that aspect, I know that's oftentimes a challenge that
Mhm.
you mentioned here, so.
Yeah, I think that the two that I don't know, so like using the budget, getting you guys familiar with what I'm going to be asking, kind of some trends. I'm not sure that this group can really provide much insight more on, did you try this brand instead of that brand for a compactor? It's not, that's not what this group is for, but more of how can we package this budget, and it sounds like a salesman, but to sell this to either the council or the public, to get feedback on, say, are you sure you really wanna ask for this year? It seems like that might be a bridge too far or something like, but generally, I'm gonna throw something out and and for this board to say, yeah, you're coming off half cocked there, and that's just to kind of be a sounding board. And then, yeah, I don't know, beyond that, I don't expect this board to go out there and, knock on doors and hand out flyers and say, hey, check this out. I don't think that's what this board is for, but more of, refining the message, making sure that when I say something, and a lot of it's gonna be into some of the minutia of maintenance versus capital. How can we make sure that the public knows there's a maintenance budget and a capital budget, and they don't necessarily intermingle.
I think also anytime we have a public outreach, we can certainly be there too.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's
Yeah,
that's
that's
another
one.
aspect of when we have town halls, whether it's stormwater or a transportation project. I was saving it for later, but, we have a big Main Street project, and the mayor is pushing for a capital bond on that. And so that will be if those who were here when we did the SRF loan campaign, real similar. We will have the glossy flyers, and so a lot of that will be getting this group to, how can we refine this message? Is there something that we're asking for that we shouldn't be asking for? And how do we communicate this? And that one may be, there will be town hall meetings, there will be public outreach, there will be probably videos there. I mean, it's gonna be, all hands on deck. And so I don't specifically know what this group can do, but there will be many opportunities for this group to help us get that project off the ground.
Well, if we have the propaganda in hand, we'll be able to clearly, unless we have other questions, still come to you, even if we're talking with someone and can't answer them.
Yep.
Not you specifically, but someone, can we clone you? Anyway.
Well,
So I really enjoy those, so I'll be there, and I think that's mostly what this group will be able to shine. So.
But I think to follow up on your comment, that's one of the common themes, but sometimes sometimes the outreach or something might need to be further developed, or it could be, we're talking about this, it might be, have you thought about doing a campaign or something like that, or having the PIO, put something out there. So I think I was kind of, when I put that comment in, I was kind of trying to see at times if, sometimes on the engineering side in particular, and even maintenance, we forget that there's a outreach portion of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so just kind of saying, this might be a time you might wanna do outreach on
Yeah.
this subject or something. So I feel that, this group can be handy in that way because, move so fast in public work sometimes, just like you said in the
Yeah.
beginning, you forget those steps.
And the makeup of this board, I think, that's really great in that, engineers and builders are typically like, let's just get out of my way and let me finish my project. Where if you would have spent a little bit more money, a little bit more time to reach out to the public and the impacted people, the project would have went smoother, just
Yeah.
because they were aware of,
That's true.
we're starting here and we're ending there.
Sorry, is there a way to make our meeting, so you can listen live or whatever you call it, like on?
It's live streamed.
Is it live streamed? Cause I know people have had a hard time getting into it.
There, we missed one, so I think
Well, that was the one that, no, I'm just kidding.
So is that one?
It's always that one. Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure, revisit, because I couldn't remember if we were, so maybe sharing that as much as we can too, as a committee, like, hey, please listen to
And we
this,
still have a vacant seat on this board, so.
Yes.
sharing that as well.
Recruit anybody who, we've gone out and tried to recruit twice, and we had interviews and people fell through, and then the second time we didn't get any takers, and so, I guess I'm saving it for the next time somebody gets me at Costco or Walmart, I'll just say, hey, got an open seat for you.
Yeah, come on with me. So are we ready?
Just tell them
Well, I
to
just-
be here at this time.
I just had one more thing, so on this, I didn't see, so it was kind of a little confusing, because all of this items that we have here, they really aren't bylaw items, the only thing that was really kind of a bylaw item was, because you don't put, in reading the bylaws and everything, you're not putting a mission statement, you're not putting goals, you're not putting all of those types of comments. The only place I really saw those items was on the website. So the website had, kind of what our role is to do. And also in the code, it just kind of had a little bit in there, but it was still kind of generic. There was more on the website with regards to what our role was. So it seems like we could kind of revise our role portion of it on the website, so people kind of understand the role of this committee and using some of this. Maybe I misunderstood reading the bylaws, reading the code, and reading the website, but I felt like what we were trying to do was kind of more update a little bit of the code and update the website, so that people could see the role and the mission, kind of what our mission was. So that's what I felt this task was, but now I'm confused, and I guess I'm lost on all of this. So I just wanted to put that out to the committee, because I got lost in this a little bit. I understood what Commissioner Rader was asking, and so I thought that's kind of what we were doing, is to kind of make, define our role better and things like that, so that, the website, and because I feel like we are missing something. I agree with you 100%, and I feel like we still haven't tackled that, so.
So what's on the website is taken directly from city code. So if you wanted to change any of the powers and duties of the commission, then we would need to do an ordinance to change city code. But if you wanted to just add like a mission statement or purpose to the bylaws, we could just do that internally. It wouldn't need to go to council or anything.
I thought the bylaws had to go to council.
Nope.
Okay,
So we still don't have an answer. So do we continue this, or?
It's up to you if you wanna add a mission statement.
Why don't you just take a vote? People wanna add the mission statement or not?
do we want to talk about that during the bylaws and
Are we skipping ahead? I
yeah.
don't know, I lost track where.
I don't know that we got finished with, I don't know where we are actually. I did
Are we
not
still on
personally.
5A?
I think so. I did not move on to B.
And I thought you did, because you asked if the director was okay with everything on that.
And I don't think we said that we were gonna move
Oh,
on
okay.
yet. Because another question came up in the
Yeah.
meantime. So it
Oh, that
hasn't
never
stopped. That never happens, never ever.
So
So forgive me for not just moving on to B. Shall we do that? I think,
I'm okay with A.
I'm okay with A.
You wanna move on to B?
okay, anybody still wanna hang in there? Okay, we're gonna move on to B, which is proposed amendments to bylaws, frequency and scheduling. Proposed amendments to Article 4B of the bylaws based on staff and Public Works Advisory Commission comments, and that's what we had been discussing. So we can continue doing that, maybe get your question answered there.
Can we treat that where someone just kind of makes a vote or an amendment or proposal and then we just vote on it? Does that work?
Gotta come up with that amendment. or
Well, I think
vote.
we need to go to this page that it says Public Works Advisory Commission Agenda Item Summary. And that has, no, that doesn't, it has proposed amendments in the staff's comments. And then the comment page before that is what we need to look at on this one, I think.
Would we look at page 15 in the packet, the actual bylaws?
Yes, that as well. That is page 15, okay, right after that.
So in line with staff's availability, I'd propose Article 4B, we change to change to the second, from the second Wednesday to the third Wednesday at noon, and monthly versus quarterly.
I agree with that. Is the time acceptable to everybody? There was some comments in there that the time wasn't a time when people could attend.
I think I was the only one that preferred not to be at this time, but I can make it happen. If the majority votes to keep it this time.
It's been working okay for me. It's really good to have a full board though. So is there something that someone else would propose other than that timing? And then see if it works. Anything?
I mean, when we set this up originally, the intent was to be respectful of people's evenings, especially council members who already have a lot of evening meetings, so try and set it up at the noon hour, and then we can get people for their lunches. But if we can go back, if they'd rather have them at 5.
I'm not wanting it at 5.
My only two concerns was the public doesn't always get to come. And so that's why we don't get a lot of public participation, as well as this is during my work hour. But like I said, if majority's fine with it, I can go with whatever. But those are my only 2 points to the timing that we have
And
now.
I can't kind of think even the public on a lunch hour would bring their lunch and sit in the back and enjoy us. So I kind of think
That's
they
just
have
feedback
that.
I've gotten from the public.
Yeah, is it? I hadn't gotten any.
Well, but it is streamed.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
so
and you
people
can.
can stream and you can email a comment in if
That's
you
true.
have an item that's concerning. So,
Sure.
So take it or leave it, but there's the feedback.
And for me, I mean, I know I responded to an email, and the only other day that would be better for me is the 3rd is fine at this time, would be the first Wednesday. After that, then it would be just the first Wednesday in the evening at like 5:30. But as long as you guys can put up with my, every once in a while, not making it, because sometimes the job is a little fluid, or the VA, as it was last month.
Yeah. I'm fine with the time.
Propose a time, we can vote on it.
The third Wednesday at noon is fine, I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
Say aye for in favor?
you need a motion?
Yeah, I think we
Or do
do.
we just need a nod of
I think we're
heads?
not done with your motion yet, maybe.
Well, yeah, either way,
That's true.
it doesn't matter.
You
Well,
have
that's what I'm
more,
saying,
you have
so-
more, please.
No, that's
Your
it. I mean,
motion.
the monthly versus quarterly, I understand the commitment, with the action items we come up with at times, but certainly depending on what the focus of the meeting is, I know we can shape that a little bit to make it more user-friendly for your.
Yeah, and a lot of times say like the MPO will cancel December and January just because they don't have agenda items, or you're not gonna get a quorum because people are out of town, or it falls on a holiday, so it's up to you, but keep it monthly and then expect that we'll cancel one or two because it just happens to fall during a holiday or
Or we don't even have a quorum.
and we don't have a quorum, yeah.
I mean, every board I've been on pretty much has that too.
Yep.
So,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we change Article 4B to shall be held monthly on the third Wednesday at noon.
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded that we would continue, or we would change our regular meetings to the third Wednesday and having it being held at noon. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Do we need to stipulate that doesn't mean we have a meeting next Wednesday?
Oh, starting in the month of
Next month.
March. Oh, really? We're already at March, okay. I'll rephrase that to the third Wednesday in March at noon. So we still have all those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Was there anything else in there that, I don't think there was anything else that we needed to really address for the bylaws, was there? Other than if we wanted to come up with a mission statement, that is something we can always do?
Just like you just did, you can.
Can I-
vote.
I don't know if I wanna make this a motion. I'm more just question, here it doesn't really, and I don't know if we can change this, but on the Article 3, F, as provided, City Code 245, It just says, in the event a member fails to attend meetings as required. I don't know, is that something we could put a certain amount of meetings, or do we have to stick to that language?
That's in code.
Okay.
Specific in our bylaws of public meetings.
Oh, okay, we have that further. Well, this is the bylaws, but it didn't say, maybe I'm in the wrong spot.
In line
It didn't say how many.
three
It is
F has, yeah, it's got
Is
three
it F?
consecutive.
You said F.
So,
It says that if you are,
Oh,
if you miss
Commissioner.
3 consecutive without excused,
Oh, I was further down in the
Mhm.
event, okay, that confused me, got it,
okay?
Yep.
You're good with it? All
I
right.
am good with it.
Anything else before we move on? I missed that, didn't I?
That's,
Or is it next?
It's next.
Oh, good, I'm flipping pages here. Chase. Yes, it is next, okay. Item 6, items moved from the consent agenda. And that is the Highway 12 letter. So who wants to, who took it? You did, thank you.
mine, so my only comments, I guess, and I apologize, because I know this has been in front of us a lot of times, and I rereading it here this last time, that first sentence of underneath of what the bridge number is, so on June 9th, 2023, LC Valley experienced an unprecedented storm. And so I think we need to define how unprecedented it is. If it's a once in 20-year thing, somebody's not gonna probably wanna spend $500,000 fixing it or whatever it would take for the engineering and the maintenance for it. It does seem like that bridge has flooded a few different times. And so I think we need to either understand the frequency of that, either one event or just say on multiple occasions over the last 5 years. Some version of one of those two to make it more defined.
Okay, do we have that data as far as,
I was gonna say, didn't they say every 100 years? That
well, it was a
That was a-
50-year storm.
a 50-year storm, thank you.
Yeah, it was a big storm, and so.
Was that the only time that we've had issues?
No, I would probably lean more of, it has flooded multiple times over the past
Okay.
His
decade,
language.
because yeah, if we say it was a 50 to 100 year
Right.
storm,
But then they'll
they're gonna be
say,
like, well, so everything
Good
else.
point.
We'll worry about it 15 years, 50 years from now.
before 50 is up.
And there were other
Right, it
places in the
has-
city
it
that
has
had
flooded a couple times,
different things
so.
that were related to the 50, but
Yeah.
if that does vote, maybe not that bad, but if there are issues, we should.
It floods, I don't know what the year event, but I'd probably say 10-year or above, it's gonna
I wish
flood.
we could know by volume, like if it's gonna rain this much, we know it's gonna flood.
It's how fast it comes down and all
Yeah.
that.
If he does come do a presentation, which is what is being requested, that will be one of the items, down there that he would be able to bring that data.
Okay, that would be
Or
good.
at least understand the design basis for what it can handle, and then we can, from there, you can kind of put the meteorologic data to see, how often does it rain that intensity.
I think it's worth looking at, and so, and this letter has not been sent off, or it has? Oh, it has not, so we could,
I thought
I'm
we had an
sorry?
end date. I thought we had a certain time we had to get this one in. Maybe it was something else that we were at a strict timeline.
no, I don't think there was anything
Not on
strict
this
on
one.
this one.
Okay.
So maybe we can incorporate that
We can
language.
incorporate that change,
Thank
just
you.
to say experienced flood event. This is not a frequent occurrence, but this has happened multiple times. This is not just this is not an isolated event.
Thank you,
That worked
that,
perfect.
that sounds really good.
They had the event and how this highlighted the issues that we have, the ongoing issues we have with the
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah,
That's,
ongoing
that's the
issues.
word, yeah,
Ongoing.
yes.
I know it was born for a reason.
Sometimes you get that perfect word in there.
And I noticed in the legals, because that's what I do in my Sunday afternoon, is they awarded the roundabout on the other side, on
Yeah.
Diagonal and Bridge,
Oh,
so
great.
there may
That's
be an
the
opportunity.
Tomato Bros?
What's that?
Are you want to talk about the one with Tomato Bros? That intersection?
Yeah.
I've heard they were doing that, but it
Yeah,
was.
so that one is moving
trying to do
forward,
that.
and it's WashDOT jurisdiction, but that is Clarkston administering the project. So anyway, it may be an opportunity for them to incorporate some
Other things.
changes to that.
That'd be nice. That intersection's
Maybe I'll
horrible.
read the
Okay.
legals more often. I missed it.
Well, I always, My wife reads them, so what are you presenting tomorrow? I'm like, what am I presenting tomorrow?
Am I? Oh, I don't have that counterbalance, I guess. That's great.
Mayor, I would move that we approve the letter with the changes to be sent once those.
That's a
once
great
staff has
motion.
had an opportunity to update.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, okay.
Or either one, I don't care.
So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Unfinished and new business, commissioner comments. These comments should not be, comments should not be related to an item currently before the commission or an item that may come before the commission in the foreseeable future and should be limited to comments, not discussion. Do we have comments? Yes.
Only a little one, so, I don't know. Correct me if I'm not allowed to speak on it, I'm trying to think if this is gonna future. So I was just gonna talk about the 5-year plan after Dustin and I kind of went over it and why we thought the 5-year was the best. To kind of take the elephant by pieces, right, instead of one. And then I'll also allow the other departments to kind of hone in on their CIPs in a way before we then try to ask, let's do this whole massive, big old city plan CIP. I think that could be in the future as we see how this 5-year plan goes. That's kind of what we discussed. Correct me if I'm misreading anything. But we felt that CIP would be more honed in on exactly the budget that's needed and hopefully not to confuse the public. And then also if this is working out, then we can expand that and add more departments as we come in. But we just didn't want to tackle too much at one time, especially for city staff and to find what this looks like, so. Just for background on that meeting and why we kind of went that route.
Any questions?
Comment.
Go ahead.
That one's done. Okay. So since I've been kind of discovered to be on this commission, I've had several people
Good discovery.
ask or point out the hurdles to development and kind of the notoriety that the city may have related to that. And so I just wanted to, get a comment into the record on making sure that this, or my preference would be that this commission kind of keep an eye on that and support those efforts to the extent that we can from the public.
Yeah, I think that, are you done? Sorry.
I was gonna say, could you say that first part again? What was that?
That's the assisting with how do I say it again? Development friendly messaging or development. City is somewhat known as a anti-development, or can be known, several people do, that it's difficult to develop in and around town. And so to the extent that we can as a commission, try to do what we can to help improve that.
Got it, thank you. That perception unfortunately has been around a long time and it has gotten, I mean, I think our city today is doing a fabulous job to try and overcome that. They've become more customer oriented. And so I've seen that through my time on council and with planning and zoning but it will always be there, but we always have to work on it. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is a good point we need to remember. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I do have one. I thought that you were gonna take my thunder there for a minute, but MPO is doing 2 studies, and Kimberly Horn has the Regional Safety Plan, Action Plan going on, and I don't know how long it's going on, but they are working on that. But Kittleson and Associates is the other one, and they're doing the Thane Road study. So their consultants will be at the Home and Garden Show on March 15 and 16. They will have a booth those 2 days, not all 3. So if we would like to go up and meet them and see them and find out what they do and what's going on, and I think it's a great opportunity for us.
When was that?
March 15 and 16, the Home and Garden Show at the fairgrounds. I'm sorry.
The consultant, you said?
Oh, Kittleson,
Kittleson.
Kittelson and Associates. And it's the Thane Study Road, which we all talk about throughout all of this, so it's an ongoing study.
And if this board wants to see the draft, we can send that out. Staff reviewed the draft 2 weeks ago, maybe. We had a Zoom and went through all of it, and basically what that study is looking to do. Thane has a lot of accidents, not fatalities necessarily, but it's a 4-lane section, and you've got a lot of accesses and a lot of turning movements that conflict, and you just get a lot of people getting T-boned or people getting rear-ended, and so they went through the whole corridor and talked to the individual property owners and say, what would you think if we got rid of your access? What would you think if we closed down? Because it runs diagonal, so all of your intersections come in at an angle. And so looked at each individual access, each individual cross street, and saying, close this is what this would do. They close this is what this would do. And then now at this point, they're out taking that out to the public and weighing, do not do that, or there's a bus stop on this route. So Haley and I can get you a copy of the draft.
Is it huge?
Yeah.
Of course it
I was
is.
gonna say.
I mean, but a lot of it is, if you scroll down, you can see the exhibits that show, oh, this is something that they're considering and closing them. It is, that's one of the reasons why I'm not bringing it, because there's just it took 2 hours for them to walk engineers through. These are yellow, these are blue, and, they're color coded, and it's a little complicated. But if that's something this group has the time and just interest to scroll.
We could do it electronically,
Yeah,
not.
it's electronic file. I can get you the link to that.
All right, so after all of that, where are we? We still have staff liaison comments.
All right, I will rip through this as fast as I can. If Kevin, if you gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
So, as I said, we're gonna start ramping up budget. I don't have anything to bring to you as of now. It hasn't rolled out to me, so I don't have anything to roll out to you yet. But it'll probably I'll probably schedule it as early as next month, but definitely April. What we're setting up right now, so we did a rate study through a firm called FCS. We did that before the treatment plants and before the reservoir.
That's water, right?
All
All of
utilities,
them,
all
yeah.
of them.
And that was when my first meeting on the Public Works Commission
Oh,
was that.
okay, yep, yep.
And then it just diffused.
I didn't even
My
realize you had a
first
meeting.
and only meeting I
Yeah.
got to go to.
So the FCS, I've reached out to them yesterday, they got back to me today. And basically, they put it all into input all of our revenues and expenses and capital and operations. And they have these massive spreadsheets, and it spits out, basically, if you want a healthy utility, here's where your rates should be, and here's how much you should have on reserves. And we've had some pretty major events in the last year or two. So I'm going back to them to kind of reevaluate. I did sanitation last year, so I don't need sanitation, just water and wastewater. So I'm going to try and get this information to this board before it goes to council, but it's gonna be a pretty quick turnaround to get, because the council we're going to try and have the council weigh in, and they will not commit, but somewhat commit to a utility rate. It's hard to set rates, or hard to set a budget and then adopt rates. And so if I take the proposed rates to the council early, and they at least give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and I can set the budgets based off of the rate increases, or lack thereof, moving forward. Because what always happens is we get to the third week of August, and we're like, are they gonna, we've got our budgets built, are they gonna adopt it? And so trying to get a little bit more ahead of the game, and the FCS information is gonna be pretty important to kind of give us a barometer of where we're at. So that's what we're doing on the budget, so stay tuned, you'll see a lot of that. The transportation CIP public hearing is next week, that's the week, next.
Or, I'm sorry, the
Mon-
26th.
The 26th, the Monday after next.
What is that?
The transportation CIP,
Oh,
the
okay.
public hearing. That is, it's one of my favorite presentations every year, because I get to show all of the projects and show how little funding we have for all those projects. But it has improved dramatically since I started giving the presentation, and so, engineers got a little engineering on this, and so, last year the council moved Main Street to number 1, which has not changed. The 2023 CIP, Transportation CIP, still has Main Street as the number 1 project. But engineers, there was ranking criteria in the spreadsheets, and so the engineers said, well, we don't want to get confused, so we'll show them how the numbers show that. So now it goes back to Brighton. And so if you've looked in your packets, it says that Brighton is back to number 1, but it's not, so that's a little bit confusing. But Main Street is still number 1 until the council votes not to have Main Street as number 1. So that is the 26th. I already talked about Main Street. Main Street, RFPs closed last week. So we have a handful of firms interested in doing the design on Main Street. That will have a lot of public outreach and design and kind of planning out how that can fit. And there may be some trying to figure out what the size and scope of that project will be when it's all said and done. So that one will be one that we'll probably be talking about probably fall on that one after the budget's closed out. Pavement assessment, the MPO paid for a pavement assessment. Trying to think, I can probably get you guys that data too, that I will be presenting to the council at the March work session. I am really excited about this one, and everybody's making fun of me because how excited I am for pavement assessment. When I got here, my take on what the roads were our arterials, like 21st Street, Brighton, Thane, are bad. But generally, our network as a whole is pretty healthy, and the numbers have shown that. So we have actually a pretty decent score overall within the network, but we have some pretty bad streets. And so this report is really great because it shows you specifically the roads in Lewiston. This it's a scale from 0 to 100. 0 is terrible. 100 is like right off the pavement, right out of the asphalt. And it shows you this is a road in Lewiston, which is below a 30. This is a road in Lewiston, which is in the 40s. This is and it shows you all of that. So you can't just say you're making up the numbers. 10th in front of the Doggy Cinema is, I think, the worst road. At least I was scanning all of them. But then the appendix has all, you can look at your block, you can look at any road in this system. It's obviously pages of numbers, and you can kind of truth all of that. So I'm looking forward to showing that to the council, and we are inputting that into our asset management software. So again, overlaying all of our information as we're starting to put together CIPs. So, that water main needs to be replaced. We can pull up the pavement index and say, well, it's a 90. It'd be great if we don't cut that one up. So I'm expecting a lot of conversation. I'm also expecting a lot of pushback from the public that says, you think your roads are good? And I'll show you. I've got the data now. So I'm looking forward to that. That's it. You already hit the Thane corridor study, so.
Yes, I did. Okay. I think it comes down to adjournment then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Sorry,
Oh, go
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Did I forget something? Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay.
Happy Valentine's Day, Emily.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
Maybe avoid the restaurants if